Hey, you're on the mic with the Pascal Show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Laura Estrada calling from Monrovia,
Hey,
California.
Laura Estrada. Happy New Year, sweetheart. Thank you so much for calling in. What's on your mind?
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Well, I was just going to talk about the cat thing, and
Go
I
ahead.
support, and I've always loved him. And anything I've ever watched on him or interviews more so, have always been him being honest. And that's part of his brand, or that's part of his act, is being just ridiculously honest. And that's honestly, he seems authentic. And I'm not a huge fan of Steve Harvey because I feel like he sold out a long time ago. And I miss Bernie Mac and all of those comedians.
Mhm.
But I feel like this is also like, it's almost kind of like a Me Too movement for men that seems to be happening lately. And I'm all about supporting it because we don't talk about that. People don't talk. I mean, I worked in production and stuff in Hollywood back in the day, and I had a boyfriend that looked very effeminate, and he used to get hit on all the time, and had all of these crazy stories of it being the other way. Like, so I think a lot of people don't want to talk about the the stuff that goes on background for males. And I think this kind of is opening up a discussion that nobody wants to talk about. And it being comedy is kind of ironic because, you know what I'm saying? It's comedians coming out and talking the truth. And that's usually the people that talk the truth are always the comedians.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. I mean, the comedy world has been turned up on its end right now. A lot of people are reacting to this, and there's a lot of people that are. It's very polarizing. It's split the room. Some people are very much on Katt Williams' side. Some people are saying that he's just lying and he's just some bitter old man. To me, I'm kind of in the middle. You know, I think that there are a lot of truths that he's saying, but I think there's a lot of things that he's exaggerating on because of his frustration and anger towards maybe things that have happened and things that he's run into during his whole career. But again, Club Shay Shay gave him their platform for him to say all of this stuff. And now this, hopefully this will be the last time, right, that we hear him say all of this stuff, because he just aired everything out in one sitting, right? But as far as the Me Too part, there were no claims. Like, there were parts of him saying, I've been offered this, this, and this, but he never said I was a victim to these particular things. Like, oh, you know, this guy did this crime on me and all that. You see what I'm saying? So it is, it's Me Too adjacent. You know what I'm saying? But not right on top of the spotlight, if that makes any sense, you know?
It totally makes sense. Yeah. It's just, that's something I've just been noticing lately. Just
absolutely. It's been out here.
It's coming up more and more. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I was kind of went, oh, wow, like now this situation is kind of hopping, you know, piggybacking on all that kind of stuff. So this is an interesting time, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens to his career after the fact, you know, because sometimes it either makes it worse, or people all of a sudden become more interested in his stuff. So that could be also part of it too, you know?
Yeah.
Right. When he's gonna, obviously, I'm sure a lot of people that don't really know him are gonna Google him up or look him up on YouTube. So you never know, Pascal.
This is going to be interesting for sure. But Laura, thank you so much for calling in, sweetheart. I appreciate it.
Of course. Happy New Year.
Thank you, sweetheart. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, you're on the mic with the Pascal Show. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, hey, Pascal. My name is Vanessa. I'm calling from sunny California.
Hey, Vanessa, what's on your mind? Speak on it.
First of all, great show. I'm so happy you're covering it, because you've always kind of, to me, you always come off kind of non-biased. So it's always good to, you know, have it presented that way.
Yeah.
But I have to be honest, I am a Katt Williams fan. I love him.
Hey, and there's nothing. There's nothing wrong with being a fan. You know. I think that it's a situation where there is, like I said, I think that there's truths and I think there's some lies. Like, you know, it's kind of playing that game, like truth. You know, two truths and a lie. I'm not saying that they're lies. I just think that they're exaggerations of the truth, if that makes any sense.
Right. There you go.
But go ahead.
Katt, I think Katt is a natural exaggerator because that's part of who he is with his stand-up. That's why he's so awesome. To me, he's an absolute natural. And that's why so many people like him, because he's real. Do I agree with everything he said on the show? I would say basically yes. And I agree with you. I think there's certainly some exaggeration. But for the most part, I believe he was definitely telling the truth, because Katt is not one that goes around and runs his mouth a lot. Okay, so that's number one. And number two, I definitely believe that there is some jealousy there because he's a natural. And again, he brags about his shows because his shows do sell out.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't go by what a man says, go by what a man does. Right. So I love you showed the clip of Katt going around and giving people money, not even mentioning that he does that. That speaks a lot about a man's character. That's hard, in my opinion.
You know what? That's hard truths. Okay. That's hard facts. I mean, that shows that he's not here for the clout, at least when it comes to his generous and charitable ways. And he's basically saying, like, I understand what it feels like to be broke and still be out here enriching people's lives with laughter and still not getting the right payment or, getting paid properly for the skills that they have been working on and crafting for years, maybe decades, and still haven't gotten the chance to get on. That is an amazing thing. And I love the fact that he's giving back. I'm curious if other comedians have done the same. You see what I'm saying? So
if they did, we would have heard about it.
True.
Because that's how they are. They run their mouths and talk about what they do.
No doubt.
And Kevin Hart is one of those. He'll run around, I bought this one on, I bought this one. Katt doesn't do that. He's very low key. So for somebody to say he's just bitter and all, that's insane, because he's literally, when he went on, Shannon Sharpe's show, he was defending himself, basically.
Right.
He was answering to all the things that had been said about him in the past. And he was just addressing it. So he has a right to do that. Yeah. I mean, he does. And again, this thing called receipts. People can check out everything that he said to see if he's telling the truth.
Yeah.
And he really is. And he's not known to be, and like you said, that's why I agree with you a lot. Exaggerating, yeah. I definitely saw some exaggeration in there, just like you said. Yeah. But outright lying, no, I don't think Katt doesn't have a reason to do that. He's still going to have sold out shows. He's probably going to have even more sold out shows now.
He definitely is. I mean, but like I said, if he started his own podcast, if he started his own podcast, he doesn't need Monique, but if he started his own podcast, this would be a whole other conversation. God. I'm telling you right now.
When you said that, I was like, oh my God, that would be amazing. 2 truth tellers, and watch how truth tellers are treated. They're treated like the plague, and they're telling the truth. And then later on, you start to see truth come out from other people telling it. With Monique,
right?
Monique's so vindicated, and Katt as well. I mean, these guys tell the truth, but they come off as bitter or angry, like you said, or drugs, or they're crazy. And it makes sense if people really sit back. 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah.
So is Katt perfect? No. We know he's been arrested. We know he's done some kooky things, but it still does not mean that he's not a solid guy. It still doesn't mean he's not telling the truth. And he's still funny. Nobody can take that away from him.
No, they can't. That is definitely very true. He is a very funny guy.
I definitely want to make a comment about Gary Owens.
Go ahead.
Listen, Gary Owens, that's very admirable for you to, with the caller you had before. Yeah, I agree with her in regards to, not Me Too, but just letting everybody know in the world of entertainment, men are approached as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, whether they succumb to that or not, that's up to them. But they go through it as well. And this is really showing that.
Yeah,
a lot.
I will say that I'm hoping that this, what happened with Christian Keys, whether it's real or not, I do want to say,
Yeah,
whether it's real or
yeah,
whether it's real or not, the claims that Christian Keys put out there, because we're still waiting on that information. I
right.
still say that thank God it happened, because it's going to lift the lid off of things that I think a lot of men as well, because it happens to women. We already know, okay, from
Yeah,
HW and Harvey and all that stuff. We've heard
yeah,
these claims about these terrible things that these women have gone through. I mean, we remember we
right.
got the list. Okay, we got a
Yes,
list for the littles as well. You know what I mean? But when it comes
right.
to this, it's finally lifting a veil off of the men's sides of the story. It is very real.
Exactly.
A lot of
Which
men
has
have
been more
sacrificed
shameful.
everything. Sorry, say again.
Right. It's more shameful for a man to come out to say a man did that.
Right.
I'm not saying it's not shameful for women. It's horrible, but it's even more like it's like questioning your sexual identity at that point.
It's crazy.
It's and you're a man.
Right.
Men are not supposed to say stuff like that. So
never.
it's
right.
definitely that's pretty bad. But I just wanted to address the Gary Owens. Good for you, Gary, for not succumbing and saying, would you do that for $1 million? Listen, I know women that do that for a Happy Meal. Okay, brother? So,
Yeah. I mean,
we started. I'm like, you guys are such big babies. I'm like, women, we do that all the time, and they take us to McDonald's. So what?
Yeah, right. Wow. You said
sorry,
that.
just a little bad joke.
No. You said that though. But yeah.
I'm like, I've had some dates in the past. I wish they'd have given me $1 million.
Yeah, man.
But no, all joking aside, because it's just want to be a little lighthearted. But I am, I'm glad that he did speak out about it. Once again, letting people know that this does happen in the entertainment business.
Oh, it most definitely is. And I'm hoping that this unearths more men to step forward, and more women too, to step forward and actually just tell their sides of their stories. Because there's plenty of women that have gotten, Oscar nominated performing, or scripts and movies and roles, because they were willing to, do some unthinkable things in that agent's office and all that. So hopefully we get some more people stepping forward and speaking more truth on that, because I think there needs to be a rejuvenation and a new approach in Hollywood.
Like it, right?
Yeah.
It looks like it's happening. We had Cassie that came out. To me, it like started the ball rolling. Now you have the Epstein list coming up. It's like it's all happening at once. And I hope it does make change for the entertainment business, because the respect level out in the streets is zero.
Yeah.
It's bad.
It's really, really
bad.
So
hopefully there is some change there for sure.
I hope so too.
But thanks again, Pascal, for taking my call.
Anytime.
Great show.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Talk to you soon.
Have a good one.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye. She is not wrong. I'm going to close out the show, close out the speak on it. No more speak on it. Okay. I'm going to close that out because it's been a long show already, but I appreciate everybody who's trying to call in. Hold on. No more speak on it for right now. Okay. But there will be more conversations. We'll have more conversations here in the very near future. I promise you that. Okay. But hold on. Okay. But the thing is I agree. There's a lot that was talked about. There was a lot of things that he said. There was a lot of things that he said in just 35 minutes in the beginning of this whole doggone interview that is pretty crazy, right? And it's mind-blowing to me that sorry guys, I'm still here, but it's mind-blowing to me that there are not a lot of people that are willing to step forward and talk about those things. Because I'm sure Kevin Hart, I'm sure Steve Harvey, I'm sure even Bernie Mac, I'm sure all these people, all these individuals, these stars that have been in the movies, TV shows, big time stand-up comedians, I'm sure they all have had their fair share of stories that will probably rock all of our worlds, right? But of course, they won't say it because they most likely are getting paid to not say anything. You see what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. He even said it in the interview. Oh, you get paid to not say anything. You get rewarded for acting like it didn't exist. That thing that happened to you didn't happen. Now the question is, Gary Owen came out because he's not one of the people that's a part of the machine, at least not yet, right? So I'm wondering if and when other comedians, actors, creators, musicians, that you name it, models, all of them are willing to step forward and tell their side of the stories. This happened to me as well. Like, I was there and these guys offered me these things and they invited me to these places and all that. So I'm wondering if there's going to be more coming out. Now, when it comes to, from other people, but when it comes to NDAs, maybe some of these people just get offered. You got to remember when Gary Owen came out and said what he said, like when he had that conversation with that person, he's like, well, are you willing to SMD? Right? I'm sure there was no NDA in front of him saying, can you sign this really quick? And as soon as he signs it, right? As soon as he puts down his John Hancock, he goes, that person goes, are you willing to SMDs? You can't talk about it now because you signed that NDA. No NDAs going on there with Gary Owen. So he just came out with all that information, right? And of course, you got to remember too, sometimes these questions or sometimes these pieces of information never come out because no one's asking the right questions. Let's not forget that too. These people are not asking the right questions. You see what I'm saying here? So of course he's like, oh, well, now that we're talking about that, I'll tell you my story. And yes, I've been propositioned in this type of fashion before. And it was a casting couch thing. And at least it felt like it. And maybe that's the reason why I'm not this household name that everyone says I should be by now. Because I didn't S some D's. It's very interesting.
PASCAL. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild.